Nitro Canine, real dog training. Greetings, dog lovers everywhere. Welcome to Nitro Canine's Real Dog Training. My name is Dave Tucker, and today's episode, the on-leash greeting. Real Dog Training is brought to you by Nitro Canine, the leading dog training service in Seattle, founded and operated by Steve Walter. Steve has an international following because of his expertise in dog training. And the purpose of this podcast is to give some of those tips to you to assist you with your dog. For more information, check out the website, nitrocanine.com. Are you worried about how to manage your dog meeting another pet while on leash? And chances are you've searched online of how to do it, and you've come across a whole bunch of articles saying that dogs should never meet each other while they're on leash. The Nitro Canine methods don't agree with that. Having dogs meet when they're on leash is a great idea because it's a good opportunity for training dogs, and dogs often love meeting other dogs. Dogs spend so much time behind fences and on leash being dragged away from other dogs that many of them simply have no idea how to greet other dogs politely. And sadly, avoiding the dog greeting only serves to reinforce the problem because the dog gets more and more excited and often more and more fearful. Many people will tell you their dog is fine off leash. It's just on leash greetings that cause them to misbehave. In their minds, the problem is with the leash, not with the dog. But leash reactivity is generally caused by fear, along with doorbell barking, fence fighting, and that kind of thing. Ultimately, it shouldn't matter whether the dog is on leash or off leash. Now, the naysayers do have one thing right, though. An improper leash greeting can be the source of conflict. That's why we'd like to walk you through how dogs should meet each other. First things first, though. Always ask the dog handler if your dogs can meet. Get permission. Then, once you have an agreement, put your dog in a sit. The biggest part of training is having your dog focus on you. As part of this, you need to give permission to your dog to meet the other pet. So put your dog in a sit and talk to the other dog's owner for a few minutes. Ideally, the other dog owner will do the same, but remember, you can't really control the actions of other dogs and their owners, just those of you and your dog. So you start with a sit and with your dog focusing on you. Why does your dog need to focus on you? Because you want to lower the level of excitement. Keeping things calm will decrease the odds of conflict. Keeping things calm allows both dogs to greet each other quietly and appropriately. As part of this step, never allow your dog to lunge toward another dog. Lunging is aggressive and it sets the stage for an improper greeting. If your dog starts to lunge, deliver a leash correction. Timing is crucial here. The correction should be given right as the dog lunges. Don't fault yourself if you don't get it down perfectly the first couple of times. It takes practice. By the way, this technique also works for jumping. Now, after your dog is in the sit, only allow a proper greeting. Okay, so what constitutes a proper greeting? Generally, dogs don't approach each other head on. They like to take their time, check out the situation. The fact is, dogs start communicating the instant they see each other. By the time they get close enough, they've already exchanged a lot of information. First, they'll sniff each other's faces. There's a lot of information in the breath. From there, they'll move on to the rear end sniff. Here's how you'll want to proceed. After you've had your dog sit for a little bit, release him to meet the other dog with a command like okay or free. Let the dogs approach each other, but make sure you keep the leash loose. A tight leash can build frustration and drive. You'll probably engage in a little bit of leash dancing when the dogs are getting to know each other and you and the other owner are keeping the leashes untangled. Be careful though. A dog should never bypass the face and go straight to the other end. That's rude. That's like meeting a stranger for the first time, and instead of shaking your hand, he gives you a big old hug. That person may not mean anything bad by it, but you'd probably be taken back, thinking to yourself, whoa, dude, that's a little personal here, okay? Dogs feel the same way. Some will tolerate it, but others will say, hey, back off. And depending on the two dogs in question, that can lead to a problem. Take your time and don't force a greeting. As you become more experienced, you'll see all types of dog greetings. With some dogs, your dog will act more dominant. With others, he'll be more submissive. Some dogs are mainly interested in sniffing the breath and aren't interested in the other end. These are all fine as long as you follow a sit, release, and a proper dog greeting that doesn't go straight to the booty. Well-trained and well-balanced dogs will always greet each other politely, even if they aren't suited for each other personality-wise. And that brings me to another point. We assume that all dogs will like each other simply because they're dogs. That's not the case. Sometimes dogs don't want anything to do with each other. We need to respect that, so don't force it. For some reason, I've noticed that people seem especially eager to drag puppies over to meet dogs, probably because they've been told over and over again that if they don't socialize those puppies, they're going to end up with some kind of canine sociopath. Please don't do this. Give the puppy a choice in the matter. He may not quite be ready for this. And if your dog is meeting a puppy, put your dog in a sit or a down and let the puppy come over when the little fella is ready. Be sure to take your time. This isn't speed dating. Sometimes your dog might be in a sit but still get overly excited. Maintain the sit until he calms down. Some dogs may show signs of anxiety, like backing away. Recall your dog and put him back in a sit. In fact, this is one of the best ways to help dogs that are anxious around other dogs. Just have them sit around each other. Get to know your dog's language. Like I said before, dogs start communicating the moment they set eyes on each other. You can tell a lot about another dog and whether you want your dog to meet him, not just by his body language, but by your own dog's body language in return. Now, human perception of dog body language is not infallible. Most online guides to dog body language do people and their dogs a huge disservice because of how simplistic they are. That said, once you start paying close attention to your dog and his language, you'll open up a new world of understanding. You've heard it said before, dogs are pack animals. They want to know exactly where they stand in the grand scheme of things. This is why they respond so well to good balanced training. They know exactly where they stand. Now, every time two dogs meet, they negotiate their standing. They have a conversation about who is dominant and who is submissive, and they do that through their body language, including stance, ear position, tail position, that kind of thing. Please note that dominance and submission are completely neutral terms in the dog world. They simply describe how dogs relate to each other. There's nothing inherently bad about either one. Yet many positive training people don't like talking about them because they assign human values to the words. So in their minds, dominance becomes synonymous with aggression and submission is identified with fear or anxiety. You'll see dominance and submission play out in every dog interaction. And it's not as simple as one dog standing tall and the other dog immediately rolling on its back. That's just the extreme. Instead, there are many levels, most of which are very subtle. Learn your dog's body language. It's well worth it. You've also got to stop humanizing the dog. Just because you dress him up in a Batman costume and give him an Ivy League name doesn't mean he's human. I'm sure that you don't want to roll around in dead fish carcasses or go butt sniff with your friends at the mall either. That's because we're not dogs, and dogs aren't people. Since dogs are pack animals, they need to know their position in relation to other dogs. And they do this through displays of dominance and submission, and correction. Dogs have zero problem correcting each other. Go to any dog park and watch it in action. Now think about this. Your dog also wants to know his position in relation to you. Generally, we steer clear of using terms like alpha, pack leader, that kind of thing. This is partially because the purely positive training people have given those terms an association with abuse. Also, some people decide that since they are the A-wolf in their packs, it gives them an excuse to mistreat their dogs. Nonetheless, any of these terms are as good as the other when it comes to describing how your dog sees the world. Some people just need to get over the notion that the term submissive equals fearful, unsure, anxious, or whatever. The better that you know your dog's language, the better you'll be able to help him adapt to new situations, like on-leash meetings. How to conduct an on-leash greeting is one of the most common questions Steve gets from his clients, and his answer seems to get the most pushback. It's not that people can't deliver a correction properly, or even that they don't want to. It appears that they're afraid to. There are lots of people out there walking their dogs and expect you to comply to their beliefs. They may have read a few books, taken a couple lessons, or watched a TV show on Animal Planet. They're often rather vocal about what you're doing and quick to tell you how wrong you are. The Nitro Canine dog trainers take a lot of flack from people like these, and they can be rather intimidating. It's hard enough to go against the tide of these misguided folks, and it's even harder to engage with on-leash dog greetings when so many people seem to think they have a better way, even though their dog's behavior shows just the opposite. Hang in there, though. Do it anyway. There will come a time when your dog's performance will shut them up. Here's something you can try. The next time someone gives you a hard time, say, "One moment," and put your dog in a sit or a down. Then say, "Excuse me?" Usually this will quiet them down because most of these folks aren't accustomed to seeing well-trained dogs. But above all, don't take anything they say to heart. Using a prong collar and delivering a correction does not make you a bad, abusive, dog-hating person. My wife takes our shepherd out all the time, and the most common comment we get is, "She's so well-trained." We've even had a group of teenagers watch her as she goes through her paces and then applaud for her. And of course, the dog just loves it. So now you know how to do it. Time to get out there and practice some on-leash greetings. Thanks for listening to this episode. If you're enjoying what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and be sure to mention it to your dog-loving friends. If you've got a question, send us an email. Go to the Nitro Canine webpage, click on the Contact tab at the top right corner, and write us an email. And fill out the form and send us an email. Make sure that you mention you were listening to the podcast because Steve loves his listeners. You've been listening to Nitro Canine's Real Dog Training. My name is Dave Tucker, reminding you that a trained dog is a happy dog, and at the other end of that leash is a happy dog owner. Nitro Canine, Real Dog Training.
Episodes of Real Dog Training are released on the 10th, 20th, and 30th of each month. For more information, go to nitrocanine.com.